Greetings, everybody. I'm so glad you decided to join me on this morning for the final. I'm sorry, my phone is tripping. Um, I'm so glad you decided to join me for the final week of the Mike Toss series. I want to thank my daughter for participating and for my son for stepping in 1 week. We intended to have guests and probably will in the future when we bring it back around again. He was the only guest that we had this particular time. But I want to thank the both of them for being willing to give of their time and their energy to it. I want to thank my daughter so much for the talk on last week. And I tell you what, when she began to talk about that particular story, and it was actually if you want to read it at your leisure, in the book of First Chronicles chapter 21, and she was talking about the sacrifice of praise. And she began to talk about Aruna, she began to talk about David and how when it came time, and I'm summarizing here, to entreat the Lord because a plague had been released upon his people because he had decided to do something that displeased God. And so there was a gentleman that offered him all the things that he needed for the sacrifices, including the threshing floor and anything else that he needed. And so David refused. He offered him these things for free. And one of the things he said was he wasn't going to offer anything to God as a sacrifice that cost him nothing. Y'all, listen. I had to resist the urge to come back and just do a part two, for real. Because one thing that we understand about that, it's not a sacrifice if it does not cost you something, right? And so, if it doesn't mean anything to you to give it up, then it won't mean anything to God to receive it. So, and we know that Jesus paid it all. Whenever we say things like that, we're not referring to salvation, okay? But if you want to grow in Him and deepen your roots and really go forth in this thing, there is a certain level of sacrifice. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you some sleep sometime. It might cost you some plates turned down. It's going to cost you a lot of times wanting to do what your flesh wants to do. One thing that I believe that this time has taught us, and this is not what I'm going to talk about today, but I think that one of the things this time has taught us is that it's time out for spiritual voyeurism. Did I say that right? Voyeurism, spiritual voyeurism, right? This is that time where, honey, you either sink or swim. And yes, we have those that lead, instruct, and guide us. We have pastors, we have ministers, those that we learn from, those that we trust, those whose voice that we trust listening to. But let me tell you something. It is so easy to devalue something that didn't cost you anything. You know what I'm saying? You value it different. You hold it different. You treat it different when it's something that you yourself have sacrificed for. And so we are just in that time where, like I said, we sinking or swimming. And this time is really, it's really teaching and showing us if all this time we have believed the things that we have taught, the things we've preached, the things that we have listened to the preacher say. This time has taught us, did we believe them or no? Listen, there is a dividing line in the sand, and that is not my subject today. So, anyway, that was good, Mariah. So thank you so much. One of the things that this is the final episode this time around, right? So, and we've done it for 8 weeks. And one of the things that is good to recognize is when the tides are changing, when the winds are changing, and when it's time for you to transition into something else. So I begin to feel really a call to talk about different things. And so actually what I'm going to talk about today, it's more of a spoken word. Can you believe that? This is a very different ending, okay? One that I did not quite expect. But I begin to understand that it's time to kind of go in a different direction. This was primarily meant for encouragement and inspiration. But I'm feeling something different, and my daughter is as well. And so, it was time for us to go ahead and bring this particular thing to a close for now, and just time to do something else. So, what I'm going to talk about today, and again, this is going to be very different. I wasn't sure. You never lack things to say, because this word is full of things to say, right? So it wasn't that in particular, but there had just been so much happening that I was just like, God, I don't even know what, how am I going to end this? I don't know. So I had different thoughts and different things that came to me that sound like good things to talk about, but I didn't really land on anything in particular. So one particular morning, I was reading, just doing some devotional reading, and I happened to be reading in the book of St. Luke. Now, mind you, this is not what I'm giving, but I do want to reference this story because this is where the inspiration came from, okay? So I was reading the book of St. Luke in chapter 18, and where Jesus began to give a parable about how men ought to always pray and not faint. So he gives this parable about a city where there was a judge who did not fear God. He did not regard man. And I'm just going to reference the story here. And he talks about the fact that there was a widow in the city. She came saying, "Avenge me of mine adversaries." And he wouldn't for a while, but afterward he said within himself, "Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me," or in other words, she's getting on my nerves, right? "I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me," lest she just wear me completely out, right? So then Jesus said, hear what the unjust judge says. He says, "And shall not God avenge his own elect, who cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them?" And this was the verse that kind of got my mind going. He said, "I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?" So he's talking about a parable about the importance of how men ought to always pray and not faint and not give up, and how the unjust judge, although he had no fear of God whatsoever, because of the woman's continual coming, her continual beseeching, he was going to give her what she asked for, lest she wore him out and got on his nerves. So he closes it by saying, when the Son of Man, when he comes, will he find faith? Will he find this kind of faith on the earth? Okay. So from that day forward, which was just a few days ago, the thought kept coming to me, what will he find? What will he find? It wasn't the whole passage that kept disturbing me and messing me up, right? It was that particular portion. What would he find? And so, interesting enough, as I stated, I just began to meditate on that. What will he find? What will he find? I don't know. What will he find? Will he find this kind of faith when he comes? What will he find? What will he find in me? What will he find me doing? We know that some of the things that he seeks to save and those who are lost. He seeks true worshipers, right? He seeks those that will worship him in spirit and in truth. In the book of Second Chronicles, Hananiah the seer told King Asa that the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him, right? So there are different things that he is seeking. But what I ask myself is, what will he find in Carly? What will he find? So, with that being said, and this is going to be very different, and I'm going to just read this because I don't do spoken word. I do like to write, and even back when I was a child, I used to write poetry. When I was a young child, and I haven't really done that. I guess you could, I don't know, call some of what I do artistic in some way, the way we like to express ourselves and use our words. So I'm going to call this free verse, right? So free verse is when it's kind of sort of like poetry, but it don't necessarily rhyme. Like it rhymes in spots, but all of it does not rhyme. But I begin to certain phrases and certain thoughts begin to drop in my spirit. And so the way that I am, I just take a pen and and at any point in time, you might see little scraps of paper all in my purse, all in my car, because wherever the inspiration hits me, I just jot down what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is. Okay. And then at the end of this, I just came and put it all together, and I'm going to read this to you. So I'm actually not going to be here long. We're at 11 minutes right now. I did not and do not intend for this video to be long, but this message was burning in me. And again, I don't know if you want to call it spoken word, poetry, free verse, bars, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is, but it is definitely a little weightier than what some of our videos have been. What I come to realize is that these are serious times, y'all. These are serious times. Yes, I like to joke, but one thing I don't do is I don't play. Right? I joke, I like to laugh. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to laugh. But the bottom line is that we are living in serious times. We don't have time to play. And at this point, I'm prepared to have people get mad at me. It is what it is. We got to say what it is, right? And so this is a little... this is serious, and these words, I believe, were inspired by the Almighty. So I'm going to just read it. I'm going to read it just like it is. I'm going to read it off the paper because up until today, I was still just jotting down inspirations that were coming. So I haven't had time to get somewhere and try to memorize this or anything. So I'm just going to read it. What will he find? What will he find? Will he find a church triumphant without spot or wrinkle? Or will he find an amalgamated, twisted monster that looks nothing like his church nor her intent? Something we've likened unto him, a version of him that we have created in our own image. One with whom we feel comfortable, one that is more socially acceptable, one that is easier to swallow, one that won't question us, one with no standards, one to whom we refuse to give account, one who pacifies pets and whispers sweet nothings. What, my brothers and sisters, will he find? Will he find empty altars, dusty Bibles, loved wax cold? Will he find our kingdoms built tall and impressive while his lies waste and desolate? Will he find us faithful to the end, or will he find the end of us being faithful? What will he find? Will he find whitewashed tombs and empty wombs, saying one thing but doing another, praising his name while fighting each other? What will he find? Did I believe the lies? Was I hypnotized? Did I allow his truth to be polluted and diluted? Was I too scared of folks being offended by a glorious gospel I never defended? What will he find? Will he find faith on the earth? Has my heart dismantled the king and crowned his creation? Before flesh and blood have I made oblation. The truth, my friend, is often grimier than fiction. The gospel brings hope and peace, but also controversy and friction. It's a two-edged sword that cuts both ways. Surgery that's preparing us for the end of days. What will he find? Will he find me playing lost or found? He said, if you seek to save your life, you lose it. But if you lose it for his sake, you find it. Will he find me full of fear and reservations, obsessed with self-preservation? To live is Christ and to die is gain. We've bought the lie that there's nothing worse than death. We fear leaving this life more than what comes next. We neglect to prepare for what comes after, but dying without Christ is the ultimate disaster. Get in a hurry. All of this is temporary. I hope he finds me living life in utter surrender, trusting him completely free and unhindered. Will he find a life poured out, a life given up on my post, on the wall, on the court, on the field? Working while defending, uncompromising, abiding in truth, abiding in hope, abiding in faith, abiding in love, unwavering, unmoved, solid, stable, committed, living my life in complete devotion, not giving it all up for earthly promotion. Will he find me yet shining bright like a diamond, a city on a hill, a lamp that refused to be extinguished? Will he find me worshiping in spirit and truth? Will he find me seeking his kingdom first? Will he find me seeking his heart, heart to heart, heart to hand, hand to pen, pen to paper? My tongue is the pen of a ready writer. Will he find that I dropped the mic? Will he find that I abandoned the call, prioritize earth's acceptance over his rejection? Or did I cry aloud and spare not? Sound man, turn me up. I will speak your name and shout your fame. For I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. And woe is me if I preach not, if I speak not, if I reach not. I hope he finds me fearless and courageous, with a blessing on my lips, a praise in my feet, a song in my heart, and a mic in my hand. I hope he finds a life worth saying, well done, my good and my faithful. And so my question to myself and to you is, when he comes looking, what will he find? And I'm going to take a few days and I'm going to sit with that. And I recommend that you do the same thing. When he comes, what will he find? Playtime is over. It's been over. And we have to, I remember one time I was sitting on the couch and the scripture came to me, behold, I send you as lambs among wolves. One thing that we have to decide is that regardless of what it costs, we will tell the truth. We will speak the truth. We will hold fast to the truth, no matter what it costs, no matter what the backlash, no matter who gets mad, no matter who wants to take your platform. I don't care about a platform. I never did. We have to make ourselves uncancelable. What am I saying? I don't need your money. I don't need your opportunity. I don't need your invitation. If it costs me being obedient to Christ at the expense of losing support, losing earthly opportunities, it's worth it. We ought to obey God rather than man. Lord, deliver your church from the spirit of man-pleasing. We are to love and to do everything in love, but not at the expense of telling the truth. Serious times, y'all, but we're at 19 minutes. And I'm done. But I'm going to sit with that. And I'll leave you with the question. When he comes, will he find faith on the earth? When he comes looking for you, because he's coming. I know people don't say that no more. I know that's not socially acceptable anymore. I know that's not a popular message anymore. But he's coming. And when he comes, what will he find? That's all I got. I'm glad you decided to join me. And I'm sorry, y'all. I went on a walk tonight too. Today. This evening. It was good. That's another thing. But we'll talk about that another time. Be blessed. Be courageous. Hang in there. It's not the time to drop the mic. But keep it up and keep speaking. Peace out, y'all.